realize that there is an expectation. There's an expectation for you to fail. There's an expectation that you will not rise to the occasion. There's an expectation that you will not be good enough or that you will fall into a stereotype that so many people before you have. God designed you to be you. There's something about you that no one else can do. That's why no one can be a better you than you.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
There will still be
The journey. The journey.
New sheriff in town, and his name is
the journey.
Journey.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is
The journey.
The journey.
What is it that moved you?
The journey. The journey. The journey. The journey. The journey.
Welcome back to another episode of The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and today we got a Memphis icon that you probably know, but if you don't, you're gonna know him now. But before we get there, we got our quote for today, and it's from the great Ella Fitzgerald. And it goes a little something like this: just don't give up on what you're trying to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong. So what does that mean? If you believe and you are inspired and you are really loving what you're doing, keep going, because it's going to ultimately straighten out and it's going to be perfect for you. Well, today we got the epitome to that. It's a brother by the name of Kenon Walker. He's Memphis born, but trekked to Atlanta for a part of his life, came back, was married, friend to many, musician, actor, father. Without further ado, please welcome the multifaceted Kenon Walker. Hey, what's up, my brother?
I'm good, brother.
Hey, good to see you again,
too.
as always.
I appreciate
man.
it, brother.
And this
Thank
is
you.
one of my favorite people in the world.
Hey, likewise.
So if we have some fun, just roll with us.
Right,
We're
right.
gonna have a little fun with this one.
Likewise, brother.
So we're gonna go back. Let's go back early years. Tell me about your childhood, like before you left Memphis.
Before I left Memphis, like I said, I was born here in Memphis, as you
Right.
mentioned. I came up in the Whitehaven area, right
Okay.
off Shelby Drive and Bishop Bridge
Okay,
Bridge Road
okay,
up by the airport.
okay.
You know what I mean? So I used to hop on my bike, riding over there by the Big Star. They used to be over there. You know what I mean? And my uncle, I had an uncle named Orlando Draper, who was a gospel legend, who
Okay.
passed away in '98. But
Okay.
I was around when he started, his choir, the Associates.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Would always.
Okay, well, hold on, don't give them too much. We're gonna go pack it in the second second segment. So I'm gonna ask you, who outside of the immediate family had the biggest impact on young Kenon?
Outside of the immediate family? Man, that's a good one. Outside of my immediate family, the person I guess I would have to credit with inspiring me the most, I was big in movies, you know what I mean? Movies really inspired me a lot. And for me, it's strange as it may sound to some, like the Rocky movies. I mean, something about those Rocky movies I was glued to the TV, you know what I mean? And I didn't realize that it was inspiring me by telling an underdog story, you know what I mean? And as times went on, I kind of felt like I lived kind of an underdog life.
Right.
But it was something about not giving up and not necessarily aspiring to win, but to aspire to finish.
Right.
To make it to the finish line.
Right.
That always stuck with me, you know what I mean? So I think the Rocky character really was
Sylvester
impactful.
Stallone.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. What decision did you make as a young person, man, that ended up having a lifelong impact, even though you didn't know at the time it would?
Be honest with you, the decisions I made as a kid and as a young person led to my detriment.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I came up, I'm not gonna say we came up poor, but we came up, I wasn't just privileged. I had a loving family.
Right.
I had a loving family. But, we lived, day by day,
Right.
And so a lot of my influences, just running out here in these streets and this and that, it led me to certain things in my life that I would have to pay for later on.
Right.
But I'm grateful that I made those stupid decisions young.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And pay the consequences for them young so I could become somebody who had already been through that.
Okay.
I could carry that forward into everything else that I would step into.
Okay.
So even though, we labeled them as mistakes or we labeled them as being sidetracked, I think that my path I was supposed to have made those decisions then because there's so many people that I cross paths with now that I can directly relate to because I've been through what they're going through now.
Right. Okay. So how different are you from the person you dreamed you would be as a young person?
Oh, completely.
What did you dream you? Who did you dream you would be?
I thought I'd be on 106 in Park. That's my thing. I wanted to be like AJ and Free.
Right.
Yeah, man.
right.
I wanted to be on 106 in Park, man, and I wanted to host, like music shows and host, be on TV.
Right.
And to a certain extent, I mean, I've done media journalism,
Right,
you know what I mean,
right.
and have a passion for that. But I thought that's what I'd be. I'd be like AJ, you know what I'm saying, or Donnie Simpson,
Right.
in
I remember
Video
Donnie
Soul.
Simpson. And we dating ourselves, brother.
Right.
So tell me, when did Slim Riggs come up?
Man, Slim Riggs, you know what I'm saying, which is my musical persona, but it was also, my nickname at that time of my life too. That represented more than just music. It kind of represented where I was, as far as, especially streetwise. You know what I mean? People on the street called me Slim. You know what I mean? Family members called me Kenon. So if you called me Slim, then you knew me from a certain part of my life at that time.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So the thing was, I grew up, like I said, in Atlanta, but I went to 4 high schools in 4 years. I fought a lot. I fought a lot. So I had to go get kicked out of one school.
So
go to the next one.
Rocky really did embody, you embodied really Rocky all the way around.
It really did. really did. More so than I ever could have known while I was sitting in front of those TV. But Slim Riggs, I always had the ability to freestyle.
Okay.
I was always dope at freestyling, which I still am. I still got bars.
Okay, so Slim Riggs might come back.
Oh yeah. I'm always recording. I'm always recording music. You know what I mean? Even though it's no longer at the forefront of everything I do, but the outlet is still there. I'm always recording. I got a home studio, so I'm always recording. But freestyling was easy to me. I mean, as far as MCs in Atlanta, I was a freestyle champion. When I came back to Memphis, I was the Rough Rider freestyle champion of Memphis 2004.
Wow.
So my words, could do what my fists couldn't at some times.
Right.
Or would take the place of actually physical altercations. I could. Those
did you do
lunch
battle
room,
rap?
That was battle rap. And those lunchroom, battle raps, in school, that
cats
earned me a
beating on
name.
the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
That generated a name for me. So then in the city, when we would have, freestyle big battles in the parks and these people's neighborhood or this neighborhood over here, my name, it preceded me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was like, okay, it's this cat coming out of Marietta, you know what I'm saying? They got bars, right? But that gave me a confidence to use my words and to articulate myself in a way that would benefit me later.
Right.
But it took the place of me always getting in the fight. So I was always quick to fight because I would never let anyone, manipulate or get the best of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd rather go down, in a fight versus not fighting at all. And that's what I'm remembered for.
Okay.
But then the lyricism, becoming a battle rapper, man, I was untouchable. The folks could not see me.
That's cool.
They could not see me. You know what I mean? And that gave me such confidence.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that confidence led me to a lot of the things that I'm blessed to do now.
When did you know you was gonna be okay? When did you know deep in your heart that you were gonna be okay at this thing called life?
I think for me, the thing that let me know that I'd be okay is when my mother, who, I adore. My mother's my everything. Mm-hmm. She's my everything. But she was very, very strict, very overly protective, justifiably so, because I was a child that needed to be protected.
Right. Protecting from yourself.
From myself,
right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? When my mom, she came to me, and it's fairly recently, but when she came to me and she said, you know what, God told me, you don't have to worry no more.
Okay.
He's good.
Okay.
He's good. And I really had a praying family, praying grandmother before she passed, praying uncle before he passed, but a praying mother consistently. Like, man, she would show up at places I'd be, I don't even know how she knew I was there.
Okay.
She'd just pop up, and she'd be like, come up out of here. Come up out of here. You know what I'm saying? And when she came to me and she told me, she said, you know what, God told me, you ain't got to worry about him no more. He's good. He's good. I got him. He's good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So when I generated my own relationship with God, then I knew that I'd be good. You know what I mean? Because every other decision that I tried to create for myself was leading to my detriment.
Right.
But then once I started listening to what my spirit was telling me to do, and then that lead me. And it was a slow process, but things started being revealed to me that made sense to me. That was confirmation that I was on the right path. So I think when I developed my own relationship with God, and that gave a peace to my mother to where she came and told me, like, God told me, you ain't got to worry about him no more. I got it. That's when I knew I'd be okay.
Cool. Well, this is the last question of the segment. And I got to ask you, When did you realize you, Kenon Walker, was a black man? Hold on real quick. Listen, we're going to be right back on the journey where Brother Kenon is going to share with us when he realized he was a brother. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. This is The Journey on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Be right back.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
Success in life is not a straight line. There are twists and turns in everyone's life, and the more you know about their story, the more you'll understand the process. KUDZUKIAN Media Group proudly presents The Journey, a show that features successful black men in Memphis telling their stories of their lives and the ups and downs they've encountered on their ultimate road to success. We believe The Journey will encourage young men and help them see that life is a journey. Watch The Journey, hosted by me, Larry Robinson. Brought to you by the KUDZUKIAN Media Group in partnership with the Delta Boulé. We're back, and this is The Journey on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Now, before we left, we had Brother Kenon Walker was sharing with us when he realized he was a brother. But before we go there, I got another question, Kenon. What's your superpower? What's that thing that you can do better than anybody you've met?
My superpower at this point in my life is my I think my spiritual intuition. And when I say that, I mean I at a certain point in life completely got out of my own way as far as trying to make decisions and pre-planning and trying to get a plan for where I wanted to go or where I thought I should be.
Okay.
I just moved. I moved out my own way and I let God lead me into where I was supposed to be. Okay. And fully trusted that He was leading me from place to place.
Right.
And that led me here. So now when I'm around people, there's it's weird how it happens, man. I can be around people and in the moment, God would tell me what to say. He'll tell me when not to say anything.
Right.
You know, and I've seen the connections happen, especially in what I do, you know, as an occupation. I meet hundreds upon thousands of people a day.
Right.
But every conversation I have is genuine.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's certain people that when I get around them or their energy, it's like God gives me this intuition on them, on what to say and when to receive what they have to say.
Right.
And it's like second nature now.
Give me an example.
You know what, there was...
Well, first of all, I gotta ask you said you meet thousands of people a day.
A day, yeah.
What are you doing where you meet thousands of people a day?
Well, currently I'm the duck master at the Peabody Hotel.
Well, there ain't no brothers, no duck masters, man. Come on, man.
There is now. There has been for the last 4.5 years.
Duck master at the Peabody.
Duck master at the Peabody Hotel.
Okay, we got a whole nother conversation we're gonna have, because I want to understand how a brother from the hood makes it to become the representative of one of the most storied hotels in the country, really. So finish. Yeah, I'd love to hear an example of that godly intuition.
You know, the way it happens now, especially now being on the platform that I'm on as Duck Master.
Right.
My whole reason for doing that, it wasn't my plan. I didn't plan to do that. I went to the Peabody to work as the concierge.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And when they offered me the position, I said no. I said no 3 times because I had just been promoted from the lobby concierge to being the new private club floor concierge.
Oh, okay.
And I had just come off
now the ballers.
Yeah, right. And they were blessing me, you know what I'm saying, in return for what it was I was offering them. Not just the drinks, but I was connecting with people in a real genuine way. Right. And I had just come off of a couple years of kind of struggling because I, made a decision to enter into a business venture that fell through. So I had been struggling financially for a few years before that. So now it's like I'm in this place, this private lounge where I got these hot hors d'oeuvres and an open bar, and it's just me connecting with the people up there.
Right.
And man, the tips outweighed the check.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, okay, now I'm good. I'll stay right here.
Right.
Get the ducks, man.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna stay right here. You know what I mean? But the man who offered me the position, a guy named Doug Weatherford, you know, I said no to him 3 times. He asked me 7 times. 7 times. And I was like, man, you're adamant about this. Like, you see something I don't see here.
Right.
So I prayed about it, and I had this complete sense of peace about trying it.
Right.
And that was one of the major moments where I got out of my own way. And then everything else that happened from that, day by day, was truly, I just trusted God to tell me what to do, to tell me what not to do, tell me, you know, show me how to represent myself in this position. Because I didn't have an example of someone before me who I saw do this. So it's like God blessed me from teaching history, because at one point, you know, I was a tour guide, Civil Rights Museum in Stacks, to making history. But I was also making history in a place where the people that were there to see that ceremony weren't used to seeing someone like me do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was a lot of things that I had to trust God to see me through, because I knew there was already a preconceived notion that were like, people were just like, oh, you're the duck master.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You're the duck master. Okay.
Right.
All right. And then when I step up there and start speaking, then it would just be like, oh, okay. Hey, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
You are the duck master. Right.
But then, because you couldn't stereotype me, and you hadn't seen anyone before me do what I'm doing, the level of awareness and attention that I had with people was sky high.
Right.
So there, in that moment, I could share Kenon with those individuals.
Wow.
And I've had kids from St. Jude who have come now to meet me.
Right.
I mean, I've had, you know, people who have gone through God knows what that confide in me what led them there and how much this ceremony means to them. But, and I know I'm taking a while to answer the question that you asked me, but there's a little girl named Wynn that I met. She was from St. Jude. I think was 9 years old. And Wynn came over a year and a half period, and she would come whenever she was feeling strong enough to leave St. Jude, and she'd come see me. And I let her march the ducks with me a couple of times, gave her her own cane and Duck Master t-shirt and, you know, Duck Master rubber duck. And she and her family stayed in touch with me, you know what I mean, consistently. And Wynn would reach out to me when she wasn't feeling well, like through her mother's Instagram messenger. And like, you know, Duck Master Kenon, you know, I'm kind of feeling kind of weak right now, but I've got my cane and it's giving me strength. Wow. Right? But every time I see her in person, I'd be like, Wynn, how you doing? I'm good. I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna be fine. Right? And I was like, man, this kid is resilient. This little white girl. Right. But then I found out a few months ago through her mother's Instagram page that Wynn had passed away. Ooh. And it did something to me, because I realized that I thought that in the times that she was coming to see me that I was giving her strength. But then I realized in hindsight she was giving me strength. You know what I mean? And the connection.
What do you mean by that?
The genuine connection that I had with her, not just, you know, as the Duck Master, but from Kenon to Wynn, let me realize how deep the connections are that I have when I'm connecting with people. They may see the Duck Master, but they're talking to Kenon. Right. But I'm using my spiritual intuition and what to say based off of what I've been through. Right. And people, even though they have probably much more than I have financially, right, life-wise or purpose-wise, they may be lacking something that connected with them then through words that I said. Right. And my connection with her let me know how much of an impact using your spiritual intuition when speaking to people can have. And I thought that my words and my connection, my friendship with her would lead her to a long life. It let me know that it led her to a much more quality life in the last year and a half that she was living than maybe prior to that. Right. And her family reached out to me and let me know, like, the level of love that she gave and that she gave you and that you gave her. Those last couple of years of her life were the best of her life because she met you. And for her family to tell me that, right, you know what I mean? It wasn't a planned connection. It wasn't a gimmick or an act I was putting on. It was me trusting God to tell me how to connect with this child. Right. Because I have a daughter of my own. Right. So I can't imagine what her family was going through. So I was like, well, let me just form some kind of bond with this kid. Right. And I realized that every moment that you speak to someone could be the last. And the quality of what you said to them could determine the last thing they'll remember before they transition. So it made me appreciate every single encounter that I have, especially being in that position, because you never know what that moment is going to mean and how impactful that can be, giving and receiving.
Right.
And by doing that, by not having this preconceived notion of things that I say to everybody, just by really being real with everyone in the moment, it has enriched my life in such a way, but it's also led to friendships and bonds I never could have imagined because I was real in that moment.
So, man, I'm curious as to how many jobs have you had? Because you said you had taken about 2 or 3 jobs before you took the Duck Master job. I'm talking about just kind of give, because I met you at the Brooks Museum.
Yeah.
So just give a snapshot, a real quick kind of snapshot of the jobs you've had to get to this
Duck
piece.
Master. Man, I can honestly say I have probably worked at least 30 to 40 jobs in Memphis. And that's because of my options were limited.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I
Why
said,
were your options limited?
Well, like I said, coming up rough, I got in trouble. Like legally. You know what I mean? So being on probation limited my options. I was on probation. You know what I'm saying? When I moved back to Memphis, I was on probation. So all I could do was work in factories. You know what I mean? I couldn't do certain things. They weren't options to me at that time.
Right.
But by the grace of God now, my record's expunged. I'm good. You know what I mean? But my options were limited. So I worked in probably every factory in Memphis. I worked at Oracle Brothers. I worked at Darby. I worked at Technicolor. I worked at, I couldn't work at FedEx. Wasn't eligible to work there at that time.
Not even on the ramp?
Couldn't do nothing. You know what I mean? Landscaping. You know what I mean? Whatever I could do to make ends meet. That's why music and acting, those became outlets for me, and that kept me sane.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I could step out of being who I was at that time and actually be someone else.
Right.
And those outlets saved my life between the music and acting. But then as time went on, an acting experience led me to the National Civil Rights Museum. Playing this fictional character named Randy, who was on the bus and Rosa Parks wouldn't get up. Right? But then a magnificent woman and force in my life by the name of Beverly Robertson, you know what I mean, took notice to me.
Right.
And keep in mind, man, that it was a living history tour for 3 months, and the pay was great. I mean, but it led me into being inside these walls of a place that would go on to change my life. And Beverly blessed me with the opportunity to become a tour guide. Keep in mind, I couldn't legally work there. I was not eligible to work there. But she gave me an opportunity to prove that I could do this. I'd expressed to her, I want to be a tour guide. I want to teach my history to people.
Right.
And it made me better. It made me sit up straight. It made me pull my pants up. It made me articulate myself in a different way. Because I wanted to be a vessel, a pure vessel, to where anyone who crossed paths with me could get the impact of this history.
Right.
And I didn't want to diminish that in any kind of way. And it made me better. And that led to an opportunity at the Stax Museum, where her husband, Howard Robertson, was the chairman of the board. You know Howard.
Yeah.
No, you're very familiar with Howard.
Yeah.
And those
Beverly and Howard.
those two people changed my life, man. They gave me a chance, and I really, really needed someone to allow me to prove myself. And and then that led to Brooks, because I introduced the film. You know what I mean? The Stax was showing Watch Stax.
Right.
At the Brooks Museum, and Al Bell was introducing the film. They wanted me to introduce Al Bell. So based off of my introduction to him, they offered me a job running the film series at the Brooks Museum. Okay. And that's when I crossed paths with you.
Right.
So everything led from one place to the next.
That's awesome.
And then time went by, and then like I said, I was no longer on probation, no longer had any legal issues. You know what I mean? Eventually my record got expunged, and God just kept elevating me. Higher and higher. You know what I mean? And then I stepped away from the Brooks to do a business decision. Bam. You know what I mean? Slipped up. So then I had to humble myself. Now at this point, I could work at FedEx, so I did. Worked at FedEx, did third shift, you know what I mean? Working on the line, you know what I mean? And
well, here, we don't want to spend a whole bunch of time there. There's a couple things. Number one, I got to go back to, when did you realize you were a black man?
And when I say we, my mother and I, my mother, like I said, she worked for IBM, you know what I mean, for a while. So things started getting better. Right. So we moved to Woodstock, Georgia. We moved to Woodstock, Georgia, which is predominantly white neighborhood, right?
Right.
And man, that's my first time being called nigger. I mean, like with a hard R.
With a hard R.
Nigger. nigga, boy, nigga. Like, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, who you talking to? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
But he realized like it's everyone in the neighborhood, you know what I mean? And then at one point they bleached KKK in our driveway and spray painted nigga, you know what I'm saying, by the mailbox, right there by the mailbox.
Right.
So then that's where a lot of the fighting came from. I never forget, man, I got off the bus one day and I still remember the boy's name. I should call your name, boy. I should call you out, man, and remind you, but I'm not gonna do that. The guys brought me too far. But there was a situation where I had these guys waiting on me when I got off the bus because a friend of theirs had hopped on my bike one day and ran into a mailbox. So we ended up going to his house. He ended up getting in trouble. They were like, man, you know, we got so-and-so grounded, nigga, this and that, right?
Right.
And I realized, I was like, man, I ain't did nothing to these people, man.
Right.
Like, I ain't did nothing to these people. But again, I ain't gonna let these people do nothing to me.
Right.
And man, when I tell you I picked up a stick, and I'll not speak too much on it because, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want nothing from then to catch up to now, but it made me realize, man, these folks is like literally ready to kill me. Like ready to kill me because I'm black.
Just because you black.
Just because I'm black. Not because I did anything, not because my mother did anything, you know what I'm saying? The thing, it was just me and her. And you just spray painted KK, you know, bleach KKK in my mother's driveway.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where this protective instinct came in as far as protecting my mom, you know what I mean? But that let me realize, you know what I mean? Of course, growing up in a predominantly black neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wanted everybody.
Now, let me ask you this. Did that moment make you racist?
I don't think it made me racist. I think it made me aware of what white people were capable of. Because I knew some good white people, but I also knew some bad white people.
The reason I ask you that is because I know about what you've shared with me about two Caucasians that really blessed you.
Yeah.
Especially in the film industry.
Yeah, man.
Because y'all don't know, this brother is about to explode on the film industry. So real quickly, I want you to give them a shout out because I want to give some fair balance to this conversation.
Yeah, man.
So if you said just right there, give them some love because I know they've blessed you.
Yeah, man. I gotta take this time, man, to give sincere thank you to David Arquette, you know what I mean, and Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, you know what I'm saying, who was a dear friend of mine prior to his passing. You know, I crossed paths with David through someone else I met in my lounge at the Peabody, who took me under their wing, and they told him about me, and then Hollywood came, and these huge opportunities came. And I have no agent, I don't have a manager, and don't have a publicist, but I am a SAG actor. And a big part of that is because of David Arquette, and my very first trip to Hollywood to appear on a game show was because of Paul Rubens. Paul Rubens pitched me to the executive producers of To Tell the Truth, and they flew me out to Hollywood, and both David Arquette and Paul Rubens appeared on the same episode as me and took me all around Hollywood. And that was my first trip. My second trip was to be in a movie called Way Down Bundy, which David's wife, Christina Arquette, is an executive producer of, along with a woman named Carrie Ann Rochman, which is who I met in that lounge at the Peabody. So these people have put me on a path by believing in what I was already doing that has changed my life. So I got to, man, give huge shout out and salute to David Arquette, to Carrie Ann Rochman, Christina Arquette, and to the late, great Paul Rubens.
Fantastic. All right, now we coming to the end of this thing, and I want you to look in that same camera because there's a lot of young brothers and young sisters and just people in general that are watching you right now or listening to you, and give them a Kenonism and just go right there and tell them what you want them to know so they'll remember this moment.
If there's anything that I can share from my spirit, you know what I mean, from this platform, which thank you again for inviting me on.
Absolutely.
Especially to young black men, right? Young black men. Realize that there is an expectation for you to fail. There's an expectation that you will not rise to the occasion. There's an expectation that you will not be good enough or that you will fall into a stereotype that so many people before you have. God designed you to be you. There's something about you that no one else can do. That's why no one can be a better you than you. Now, there's every influence around you to stop you from being you, to make you feel like that you ain't cool by being you or that you lame or this and that. Those are characteristics that God put in you for a reason. He needs you to be an example of what other people around you can't do. I mean, so don't ever feel like you're not good enough. Don't ever emulate what somebody else does, because you can't be a better them than them. They can't be a better you than you. But God made you for a reason. He gave you spiritual intuition. He gave you a conscience. You know when you're doing something wrong. You know when you were doing something wrong. He instilled it in you. Your conscience is a real thing, but it's also a guide that's what's going to get you to where he ordained and where he purposed you to be. Don't ignore your spirit. Don't ignore the signs that God put in front of you. Don't ignore the random people who you think just telling you, well, boy, you can do everything you want. You can do anything. You can be this. Those ain't just random people. God picked those people and he put them in your path as confirmation that you're on the right path. Don't ignore the people, you know what I mean, that are feeding into you, but don't keep listening to the people who are drawing you back. There's a plan for you. And when you get out your own way and you allow God to lead you into your purpose, I promise you, I guarantee you that what's waiting on the other side of that will far surpass anything that your limited mind could have ever come up with. I'm a walking, talking testimony of that. No one could have told me at a certain point in my life that I would be here now or on the way to where I'm about to go, right? People, of course, will criticize you. Some people think it's real corny to be a duck master. They think it's like showboating, shucking and jiving, not even realizing a black man started the duck march. And I get to carry on his legacy. So don't underestimate yourself. Don't let other people who ain't doing half of what you're doing drag you down, and stop following behind people who you think you are supposed to be like. You ain't supposed to be like nobody. You're supposed to be you. So be the best of you can be and trust God to lead you to where you're supposed to be. And I promise he won't let you down.
I'm going to end it right there. Listen, I'm Larry Robinson. This is The Journey. And for our guest, Brother Kenon Walker, thank you for blessing our people.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Till the next time, take care. Thank you to our partners, the Delta Boulay. To hear more incredible stories like this, be sure to download the KUDZUKIAN app from the App Store or Google Play. Or check out the Journey Memphis podcast on all your major podcast providers. Also, check us out on the KUDZUKIAN Network.